The universe was like this. This is usually represented as an ouroboros, a snake, a cobra running into each other, mouth and tail included, and a hood rising here.
I love the moment when you took your infinity and it turned into zero. And I love the cosmic Ouroboros, but of course the most interesting aspect of the Ouroboros is where the head meets the tail. Head is corresponds to the universe, and the tail corresponds to the…
In the yogic principle, the universe was like this. This is usually represented as an ouroboros, a snake, a cobra running into each other, mouth and tail included, and a hood rising here. So, this is not the European ouroboros, I know, they make it a circle, but this is how it was. So we call this anant, that means it's infinite. This infinite or infinity was like this. The nature of infinity, if you make infinity plus 10, it's still infinity. Infinity minus million, still infinity. So your mathematics don't work. You do plus, minus, multiply, divide, nothing. So it was like this, you could do nothing with it. Then it unfolded and became like this. Then we call this shunya. Shunya means emptiness. It became empty. What was infinite became empty. This is very important to understand this. What was that which is infinite? Was it not empty? We could not even call it empty or full at that time, because it's infinite. There's no plus minus to it, no multiplication and division to it. So it was this way, it uncoiled itself to become nothing. Nothing means we must put a hyphen between no and thing. It is a no thing, but it has a presence now. This presence, I'm assuming, maybe this presence is what the modern scientists are calling as dark energy or dark force or whatever. But it's very appropriate because we call this shunya or kala. The word kala means empty, the word kala means darkness, the word kala means time, the word kala means space. All these four things became somewhat manifest because it became a kala. So this is here as emptiness, but we call this infinite space. Must mark my words, it's infinite space, not time, because there is no distinction. It is time which is unfolding to become space. So once it became kala like this, you can see it as emptiness, you can see it as time, you can see it as space, you can see it as the first manifestation of that which doesn't have a form. Anything that doesn't have a form is also called kala. So, what was infinite space became zero, now plus one is plus one, minus one is minus one. Suddenly, there is no physicality yet, but there is a mathematical foundation for its physicality. Now, once it became empty like this, the word shunya is, in terms of written word, for the first time it's seen about 400 BC. There are documents where clearly the word shunya and the mark of a zero is there. So, this aspect, once it became nothingness, but it was a firmament of tremendous existence, but without physical form. Then we go into a more, a dialectical way of expressing this, where we say we're calling this kala as a being, a large, formless, not large, infinite, formless being Infinite cannot have a form, of course. So it's a being. And he breathes. He was inhaling. Inhaling is a long process, maybe running into millions or billions of years. There are calculations for that. I'm not the mathematician for that. And when he exhaled, it's not that he has nostrils, he exhales from everywhere. If you did not have actually even our skin is it's not only perspiring, it's also respiring, So we are breathing through our every pore in the skin. Like that, when he breathed, that created a certain amount of energy. That we call as Shakti. Shakti came out of him. When energy came out of him, then this firmament of nothingness, which is a powerful force, it started reverberating initially, then caused ripples. Those ripples led to cyclical movements. So with these cyclical movements, the first physical forms came out and it all over burst. As these cycles became more and more complicated, from whatever we call as electrons, protons, atoms, planetary systems, universes, all these evolved because of the cyclical movements.
Now I love the moment when you took your infinity and it turned into zero. Because as people will know, I spoke about the Cosmic Ouroboros in my talk on Thursday. And I love the Cosmic Ouroboros because it encapsulates all the triumph of physics in coming to understand the physical universe. But of course, the most interesting aspect of the Ouroboros is where the head meets the tail. And I said, well, the head corresponds to the universe, and we know how big the universe is, 10 to the 27 centimeters, and the tail corresponds to the Planck scale, 10 to the minus 33 centimeters. Well, those are only the biggest and smallest scales as we understand it. Really, what those scales represent, it's infinity and zero. Okay, the larger scale is infinity and the smaller scale is zero, and of course we reduce them to finite amounts so we can understand them. But to me, the really interesting point about the Ouroboros, the top of the Ouroboros, is that is where infinity meets zero. Now, the symbol of the Ouroboros is like a zero, you remember. But the symbol which Sadhguru used is, of course, the symbol of infinity. And I came across your representation of that on the website somewhere. It's a beautiful image. But to me, that was a fascinating thought because it shows that, in some sense, infinity is zero. And that's how the universe began. Because from a physicist's point of view, the universe began in a vacuum. We don't know exactly what happened at the beginning of the universe, but in some sense, there was just pure energy. There was no matter, no form, no structure. So it just started out of a vacuum. And the vacuum, I suppose, corresponds to zero. But it also corresponds to infinity.